Guys, what's going on? Shout out to Rush Bowl. Make sure you guys go down the street and get your Rush Bowl, acai bowls,
Yes,
smoothies and
yes.
stuff. Shout out to
And
Rush
if
Bowl.
and if you say pivotal, 10% off
Boom.
if you're a pivotal founder or a pivotal person. That was one of the things that I think was that's super important for me to convey.
Mhm.
You know, when and I want to you asked me yesterday over the phone
What's the
or on
big
the
deal?
text,
Yeah.
what's the game plan? And becoming pivotal was it's pivotal founders is about becoming the founder of your own life.
Mm,
That's the mission. Is when you say I'm a pivotal founder, that means that I've built the personal
right.
frameworks, which led me to develop the business frameworks, because who you are as a person is going to dictate how you run your business, the systems that you personally follow, and the habits that you personally have will reflect in everything that you do,
Mm.
which is why Alan Watts said, work on yourself more than you work on your job or even your business. I take that to heart. It's one of my main principles. So with pivotal founders, I don't want to exclude founders only, but I do want to focus on individuals that are focusing on going down that path, because
Facts.
that path needs so much more support.
And the wonderful thing is that there's a saying that says, don't work to be recognized, work to be great. And your greatness
Yes,
will advertise for you.
that's really good.
And
Yeah.
in those moments, a lot of people, when they're starting entrepreneurship or starting to, be a founder, it's interesting. If you actually spell out the word founder, you can't spell founder without you.
Yeah.
You really look at
Right.
it, right?
Right.
So find you first.
Yes.
And when you find you, then after that, everything else will fall in line.
Yes. Yes. To add to that point, as we start to sort of pile this on, you have people who are isolating unnecessarily because of lack of resources, because of lack of understanding. There's missing pieces. I think the hardest thing for me in my journey has been the question of what do I do next, and not having somebody I can just ask and get feedback from.
Right.
If I at least had that, that would help me tremendously. Like, here's my situation. What do I do next? And when I posted it on there's a 5,000 person community I'm a part of called Synthesizers. Shout out to Andrew Kirby.
Synthesizers.
He's a really cool UK social media guru, and he's got like 600,000 followers on YouTube, which I think it's so hard. People underestimate how challenging that is. And when he started the community, I saw a lot of young creators. And so I did a huge post there, and I just said, listen, I'm a founder. This is what I've done. This is my experience. This is my credibility. This is who I am. Ask me anything. And it is the #1 performing post in the entire community, with hundreds of questions, comments. I mean, you name it. And this ask me anything just showed me, when people were asking, there were these little pieces of uncertainty, some of them emotional, some of them systematic, some of them, sales oriented, some of them, hey, is this the right thing I should be focusing on? Or is this the right path based on my belief system, right? Am I following the right thing, right? The right venture, right? Or, hey, I have these two things in front of me. What should I do first? It's just these basic but so important things. So I always go back to the fundamentals.
And the wonderful thing that ask me anything, one, that's a shirt.
Yeah.
That's a shirt. If you wear that shirt and you walk around Rosemary Square and stuff,
That's great.
You'll get the kind of people.
Bradley, can you take some notes here on that stuff?
I'll write it down. That's a shirt.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's just the action items. We got to get the shirt, the AMA shirt with the Pivotal Founders logo.
I was just getting ready to say, ask me anything on the front. Hashtag pivotal, like on mine, right? You see the hashtag?
Oh,
back,
yes,
right?
yes.
So hashtag either pivotal, or you can put at Pivotal Founders, Paul Masters, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen is this, that one, people are going to stop and ask dumb questions. Like, hey, what day is it, right?
Yeah.
But then you may get that one person is like, hey, I'm really struggling with this.
Yeah.
Finding myself. So that's one, it starts conversation.
That's smart.
The second thing is
on the street.
That one thing, the biggest search phrases on Google are questions.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So,
that's right.
And then the second thing is that I love what you said, because you said, ask me anything. There's a story that comes in my mind of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was, this was in the book, Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yeah.
So in this book,
Napoleon Hill, yeah.
by the way, make sure you guys read it. So
If
in
you
the
haven't
book,
read it, and you're
yes,
in this, if you're a person and you haven't read it, you need to read it
and it's a great book.
immediately. It's a
So,
great book, yes.
On the inside, what ends up happening is that they take Henry Ford to court, and they said that he is illiterate and he's not supposed to be running Ford. So
Yeah.
they ask him all of these questions that, you know, from universities and all this kind of other stuff, and Henry Ford doesn't say a word. They're grilling him. After some time, the judge, you know, puts the lawyers at bay, brings up Henry Ford, and he says, look, he says, I don't know everything, and you gentlemen are right. I am illiterate.
Yeah.
However, I'm at the point of my leadership that at the press of one button, I can have the answer in 30 seconds.
Right.
So now, understanding the power is that if I'm an individual that you can ask me anything, I just become the hub or the point of contact. But now I have to be honest, I don't know everything. So if you ask me anything, there may be something that I don't know about. But what I am going to do is create a community.
Yeah.
Create a community of people that know something about mental health.
Yeah.
Create a community of somebody that knows finances. Create a community of someone that knows about personal development and stuff.
Correct.
So even if you come to Pivotal, you may not be able to pivot to me, but I will help you pivot in the right directions.
Yes, yes. You have to have champions. In our community, we're going to have champions in different areas, and that will be how we help people get real answers to real questions, because yes, I don't know anything, and even if I do know the answer, I'd rather it come from someone who is the champion, the expert, and then my objective is this. I think people invest in themselves when they're ready to implement. At that point, that should be, that's the trigger point. And if you're in this to be educated and the education is organized, then that education by itself should be provided.
Correct.
I want that access to be given. Once you're ready to take it to the next level and you've said, okay, I've learned enough and now I want to jump into the next cohort or the next mastermind or the next master class, whatever we have, now I'm ready. There's a champion that's running this particular program, and that's how I think people can get paid for their time and their skill in a way that feels natural for the community members and adds insane value.
Now, I have a question.
You know, so that's the initial thought of how we can grow this thing, because we also need to generate revenue for this to be a large enough scale where we can make a massive impact. I mean, I'm talking about 1 million founders. Like, let's start there. Can we elevate 1 million founders? Can we get so big and so effective and so impactful that when they release the founder entrepreneur, year overview, last year there were 10% going into becoming as a career. It's a career. To like 12%. Like, can you imagine what that, like, to just be able to move the needle in that way? Because right now we're losing more founders and entrepreneurs than we're getting.
And you know what? The amazing thing is that we're losing them is because a lot of times they lose hope because they don't see the results. And entrepreneurship isn't about, get rich overnight. It's about those that can grind, those that can persist. There's a
persist. I like
right.
That. Not like social media will tell you, by the way.
Right.
Because social media will say, look how I made $1 gazillion in 13 minutes. Buy my course. That needs to stop. I don't know how to kill that.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you exactly what social media is that when you look at, I'll say Instagram, for example.
Yeah.
You have your profile picture at the top. You have your bios, but then right up under your bios, you have a whole bunch of little circles. Those little circles are called highlights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now,
I just had mine set up, actually.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
so the thing is that I am a big sports guy and I watch basketball, but when I go on NBA to watch, a basketball game, they don't show me the 2-hour game. They only show me 9 minutes and 38 seconds of them making the shots.
Okay.
They only show the highlights, and social media will only show the highlights. There is no button for lowlights.
Yeah.
There are no button for low times.
That would be kind of funny, though.
Right. But with it,
how did your day suck today?
Yeah, but nobody.
But that's real,
right? A lot of people aren't as authentic to put that out. But this is the thing for entrepreneurs is that one, it's not a get rich overnight. It doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen over time.
Mm-hmm.
We actually got the best soccer player that's out there right now. You know, shout out to all the soccer players out there right now. The top guy is Messi. He just came to Miami. He actually has a quote, look it up on Google. And I may say it a little bit wrong, but he said, it took me 14 years and 117 days to be successful overnight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now really dwell on that. It took me 14 years and 117 days for you to say, he was just successful overnight.
Right.
It's the same thing with entrepreneurship.
Yes.
A lot of people that you see making 6 and 7 figures, they didn't just start their business yesterday.
No.
My friend Brantley got to a point where he's like, you know what? I don't want to do X anymore. A pivot happened.
Yeah.
Man, I think I'm going to do Y. A pivot happened.
Pivoted to pivotal.
Right. And then that's why, you know, shout out to Pivotal.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, I'm using that language because we go through pivots in life, but then when you go through those pivots, you have to understand, okay, now that I pivoted, where do I go from here? When you pivot to your valley, understanding that your valley isn't your resting place, it's your rising place.
Yeah.
And when you get to that valley, it's like, you know what? Now how do I pivot to my mountaintop?
Mm-hmm.
Struggle is going to happen on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the little engine I think I can. You have to have that mindset.
Yes.
That by the time you get up there, you appreciate your mountains, but then understanding is that I got to go right back down to the valley. And it goes all the way back to entrepreneurs. Be persistent. Entrepreneurs, understanding that you have resources. Paul Masters, make sure you guys get out to him. You have resources for there.
Yes.
And we may not know everything, but you can ask me anything and I can try to connect you with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that going local with this too, having live face-to-face time is so important. And running the events that we do really showed me in reality how important it is for us to have a community in general, for folks that are ready to pivot to become pivotal. When I thought of the name, when we talked about Pivotal Founders from the very beginning, I envisioned a collective of individuals, almost like the biggest company in the world. Think about it. So Pivotal Founders is this massive company, but the quote unquote employees, not employees, but the employees are all founders. Because what you do when you bring founders together, especially locally, is you build something, and you heard it here first. This is one of my pillars here, is to build the founders economy. And this is what I think you were sort of alluding to, and I might have mentioned this to you yesterday. And the founders economy enables entrepreneurs to collaborate and transact with other local entrepreneurs for growth-related activities, go-to-market activities.
Hold on, I need you to say that again for them. What kind of activities?
Growth and go-to-market are the two most important things. How we go to market with our identity and our product or service, and then how do we grow when we do that?
Man,
what is our
that.
growth path? And if you think about growth and you're pivoting to get to pivotal, you're leveraging other founders and entrepreneurs to help you. So let's look at a scenario. This is really important because this doesn't exist. And if you can Google founders economy right now, it's not defined. It is not a defined term. This is the first time we're talking about it on camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the exclusive. Let's go. Let's go.
There is the creator economy, but this is different. And that's what you're going to find a lot of. The founder economy has a global reach, but a local chapter or field. And the way that it works is that there is sort of a marketplace where you can access through the community a list of founders and their agencies and their softwares and their technologies, and you're able to collaborate, barter, or transact with them to fuel their growth while getting what you need to get done. So what happens? When you have somebody going, I need a motivational trainer, or I need help with my social media marketing and branding. Maybe you're the guy, right? Now, if I Google that, I'm not going to find you. I'm not. I'm going to find whoever can afford to pay for the ads, whoever's been in it long enough to get the SEO or search engine optimization to show up. I'm going to get the directories that are being promoted, but I'm not going to get you. So what happens? I don't know you exist, so I don't spend money with you. So what happens is that money is leaving West Palm Beach. That money is leaving the community.
Yep.
But if I am aware of you, not only can I work with you, in person, but I'm probably going to get better results because we can collaborate in a more effective way. And furthermore, I'm spending money with you, keeping the money here, which is furthering your growth. And then what do you do with that money? You go and spend it with another founder because I've just enabled your growth. And so the founders economy is founders enabling the growth of other founders in a local ecosystem that sort of feeds itself in perpetuity, rising everyone up. So instead of the money bleeding out of here, it's infused here.
You know what? And I'm full of stories because that's what I
Yes.
do. I speak for a living, but
Yeah.
but something that you just said is that it reminds me of a story that was there was a little boy, he was watching some ducks swim around.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is that while they were swimming around, the tide went down. And when the tide went down, there was a gate that was in the water that separated the ducks. And he began to panic.
Right.
He was like, "Mom, the ducks are separated. The ducks are separated." Now he was panicking, but the ducks, they was just chilling. So what happened is that they just wait. Mom said, "Just wait." So they were sitting down at the window, and then all of a sudden it got really dark outside and it started to rain. As it rained more and more, everything went up, and then the water rose over the fence, and the ducks were able to swim together again. By what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're trying to do is that we've been fenced off from not being Googleable. Right?
Yes.
Fenced off from, oh, my name isn't big enough yet.
Yes.
I have a big product, but I'm not getting out there. I'm not getting as much of social media feeds. But what we're going to do is build the community around you so much that we're going to rain on, hey, I'm going to invest in your product. I'm going to invest in your service. Tell us what you do. We're going to put together networking events that now we're going to give you spaces to talk about what you do, raising the level that now there's no fences anymore, but now we can swim together.
Yes.
Would that be right?
That would be better than right. That'd be on point.
So,
on point. Exactly.
So tell me this, because I sent you
Yeah.
the text yesterday. Magic wand. You put a
Yeah.
magical wand on Pivotal
Yes.
founders, and everything is going right. Paint me the picture. What does that look like?
Every founder has a place to be supported in their venture. More businesses are innovating. Founders are innovating, and through the community, they're growing and they're investing into their own growth by investing in the other founders. The founders economy is blown up and gone global. Pivotal Founders has chapters in every city, every co-working space. We are everywhere, so that anywhere you go, anywhere you travel, as a Pivotal founder, you can join forces with other people in the community. It is the largest company in the world filled with founders.
Man, and
Founders is becoming the number one profession, and everybody identifies as pivotal because they follow the principles of being pivotal, not just for themselves, but for the other founders. We owe it to each other to support each other. And by building this collective, that's how we're going to fight against and I'm not saying corporations don't have their purpose, but I'm saying that if we choose that path, we don't have support. We've got to create our own support. So I see this as a global organization that impacts millions of founders across the globe, creates a path for young entrepreneurs and founders to enter in with their ideas, getting support instantly, whether it's education, financial, whatever that may be, and becoming extremely aware of this for the purposes of fundraising, for the purposes of investment into events, I was thinking somewhere central to have like a global Pivotal Founders event with thousands of people. And it's the biggest founders event ever.
right
Oh
across
my
the
God.
street, the Palm Beach Convention. Hey,
Yeah.
we're putting it out.
We got to
there.
do it here.
Yeah.
We got to do HQ is West Palm
Yes.
Beach.
And I want to put the stamp on today. What's today? July 26, 2023, right?
Yes, 26.
Let's put the stamp on today and saying this is like, and this is big for those that are listening. You guys are getting it from the ground level, the surface level.
Yeah.
But you gotta. Some people say manifest. Some people say speak. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I do believe that this built the right way with the passion that you have.
Yeah.
Mark it down, guys. Today that we said it, we're gonna have a Pivotal convention in the Palm Beach County Conventions.
Absolutely.
I believe that.
Absolutely. The one thing I realized, and this is a story that I've learned from, but I think a lot of people can learn from. is when I first started in my business, I compared myself to everybody. I started in the recruiting game, and I did that because I knew I could leverage my skills, my speaking skills, my connection skills. I didn't need to be a developer to do it because, that was the hot thing. And this is almost a decade ago. And I couldn't figure out why I'm going to be different. And that's a really big barrier for a lot of people. How am I different? How am I unique? How am I going to compare myself when you compare yourself to others? And no, this is not going into you are comparing yourself to you. We know that.
Right,
We don't really do that, but we know that that's the right path. Like you compare to yourself yesterday, get a little bit better every day. Yes, yes, yes. But for me, when I was looking at how am I different, how am I unique, I knew I had to define that for myself. And what I did was I said to myself, well, if I don't ever stop, if I don't ever quit, if I persist, I'm unstoppable. Because as Will Smith said it best, if we're on the treadmill, you're getting off first or I'm going to die. That's what he said. And as I listened to probably 2 hours of motivational content a day, and we'll talk about that actually, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I wanted to see as a motivator what you listen to. I'm so fascinated by that. To wrap up the story with a little nice bow tie is this: don't quit, and know that that's your difference, because I know eventually my competitors are going to quit, and eventually the people that are currently servicing my future clients are going to ease off the gas pedal, and my competitors will eventually go out of business and the ecosystem will change. So when I work with my clients, and the reason that they buy from me is because they know that as long as they're with me, I'm never giving up. I will fix it. I will figure it out. I will turn it around as long as I have time. And if I have time and I have the opportunity, I'm never going to. And that was something that I told myself. And that's the main reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today, because the amount of times that I should have quit, I could have quit, I can't even tell you. It's probably 10,000 failures minimum to be sitting here today. And probably more. And that's really important to know, because you really do fail your way to success. I want to talk to you. I want to talk a little bit about what motivates you, what drives you, and a little bit more about your business as well, since we're going off the cuff, because this will be a way that I can segue into the Off the Cuff podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of this, as we put this together, we'll kind of frame it as our first, hey, met a great founder at the event. We sat down, we're talking off the cuff. So we'll do the intro piece at the end so we can clip it together, and at least we'll have like a good 20-minute thing,
So it's so funny that you name it Off the Cuff, because my first podcast is called Imperfect Perfect Starts.
Imperfect Perfect Starts.
Right? So
that's really good.
The cool thing is that I wouldn't even change anything about this.
Yeah.
Only because it's organic, right?
Yeah.
But then also showing other founders, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure I use the right vocabulary.
Yes.
Showing other founders that your first one doesn't have to be perfect.
That's a good point.
Your first whatever it is, your first product, your first podcast, your first video, we chase perfection. And there's a quote that by Vince Lombardi, it says this: we chase perfection and you'll never capture it. However, if you chase perfection, you will capture excellence.
Yes.
So I'm not asking you to be perfect at what you do, but I am asking you to become excellent at what you do.
Yes.
So with it, my story.
Yes, your story.
And I'm going to try to condense it down, but I used to work for a hotel resort agency.
Okay.
I'm not going to put out names like that because, branding and all that kind of other stuff. But man, I was the best at my job.
No kidding.
Front desk, right? Concierge,
Feels like that fits.
checking people in, all that kind of other stuff. But I was so good at my job that we would have people come in seasonally, right? And I wouldn't see somebody for a year. When they came back, I'm like, Mr. Johnson, how's everything? They're like, oh, what? Bro, you remember me from last year? We had people come in from Germany, and I remembered them. I'm like, and they would tell me when they came, they said, oh, you say good morning in German, guten Morgen. But you say good afternoons at guten Abend. The next year when they would come to stay at resort, because they would stay 14 days, right? I was like, guten Morgen, guten Morgen. Oh, you are that part.
Yeah.
I was the man at my job. And then I broke the rules. We all make stupid decisions, right? I made a dumb decision at work. I got called into an office and they said, here's a box. Put your stuff in the box. The door's that way. The walk of shame. I had to walk by the front desk. Nobody spoke to me at the front desk. They act like they didn't see me. I'm like, all right, guys. They just eyes forward and kept typing. Walked past the housekeepers. Everybody just gave me a nod. Nobody said anything. That was one of the worst feelings ever because I really enjoyed that job. From the day that I was fired from that job, I went 3 months unemployed, looking for jobs, applying for jobs, putting resumes out and everything. It just seems like I couldn't get it fixed. It got so bad that I actually went to Palm Beach Gardens and I went to a job interview and I think I was going to get the job until they asked me, do you know how to work certain systems? Now, mind you, I was so desperate that I said, yes. I lied in my interview. I'm like, yeah, I know how to work that system. And I saw her kind of squint. She kind of asked me again, you know how to work such and such system? I was like, yeah, I can do it. Of course, they didn't give me a call back, right? So being 3 months unemployed and 3 months that you went from superstar to zero and stuff, it will humble you really quickly. So I made a promise to myself. I said, the next job that I get, I'm going to make sure that I give 110% and I don't shoot myself in the foot. I'm going to make sure I run the straight and narrow all the time, all this stuff. So I ended up getting hired with the company that's no longer a company anymore. It's Sprint, the wireless company. So my first day on the job, it was actually December the 17th. So it was around Christmas time. So all the sales representatives that were there, everybody was sitting on there on the phones. If you guys know anybody that works in wireless, that's how we get down. We're just on our phones until the next customer comes in.
Such a brand.
So it's interesting that I got there and I saw everybody on their phones, but I came with this mindset, I'm going to be the best at what I do. So when you said that, look, I'm not going to get into the trim mill until somebody else gets off. I came there, I'm like, look, if you're on the phone, I know what it is to not be employed. It's not happened to me again. So they had a little speaker called a JBL speaker. And I said, hey, can I take that speaker? They're like, yeah, sure. So I went out and I plugged Bluetooth my phone to it and I played Carol of the Bells by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And I just walked down the shopping plaza. As I walked down, people were going into Ross. But as people were walking into Ross, they would walk through the automatic doors and then they would walk back and they would look down because I had this music playing. They said, where is that music coming from? I said, if you want one, come follow me. Kid you not. My first day on the job, there was about 50 people that walked into the store. The representatives were on their phones. They looked up. They're like, oh, what would you like? We were selling JBLs like this. However, this is the thing. Because I was new at the job, I couldn't make commission at the time. So all the commission went to the people that were on their phones and none of the commission went to me. So with that, I first saw that I'm a people person. Not only am I a people person, but I can get audiences and get crowds. So I began to hone my craft a little bit more. Let's fast forward a little bit of time. Finally, I'm putting up on social media. If you want to get known, be consistent on social media. I'm going to drop a nugget on you guys very quick.
Yeah.
Content is king, but consistency is queen. Content is king, but consistency is queen. Be consistent and committed to what you do. What is commitment? Commitment is staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you said it in has left.
Absolutely.
You don't feel like doing it, but we get into it. So I was consistent on social media. Finally, I get an email from the CEO of the company. He's a billionaire. He actually bought the Miami MLS team. His name is Marcelo Clare. So he gives me an email and said, look, I've seen you all over social media. We got to get you up to Kansas City. I send the email back. I don't have Kansas City money. He said, don't worry about it. We'll put you on the flight. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, when I get there, I don't have nowhere to stay. He said, don't worry about it. The person emailing me, it could have been him or his secretary. They said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of your food. I emailed back. I'm like, what am I going to go eat? They're like, don't worry about it. We just need you to get up here. I flew up to Kansas City. I sat down, and this man is a billionaire. Sat across from him, and he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, what can you do to change my company? And I was like, I'm looking to see if he's talking to me. I'm like, amazing. Sir, you're a billionaire. You're talking to a pennynaire. And I'm like, what can I do? He said, yeah, he said, I need more people like you and all this kind of other stuff. So we began to strategize. And as we began to do that, he set up a tour traveling all around the United States. But while that was happening, because I'm doing self-development, I had another opportunity that happened right here in West Palm Beach. I started speaking at schools. And one school that I went to, West Riviera Elementary School, never forget this. That was my first big speech. 536 people that were in there.
Amazing.
I go to speak and they say, you got 20 minutes, but then all of a sudden the program went a little bit long. They came up to me and said, I'm sorry, you only got 5 minutes. Now, I'm backtracking to understand, to show you what's going on right now, how life works. I go up, I do my thing, I speak, I get off the stage, I had somebody to record me. It was 4 minutes and 58 seconds. The principal comes and grabs me by my arm. She said, boy, where you been all my life? I'm like, okay. She says, do you have a business? I said, yes. She said, do you have a tax ID? I said, yes. And she said, is it active? I said, yes. She said, I just received a grant for the school for 3 years for $1.5 million for people to come and mentor my boys to get them, better mentorship. I want to give the whole grant to you.
Wow.
Now let's fast forward. I get the invitation by the CEO of the company and I have a $1.5 million grant on the table. Which one do you do? Right? Understanding that I was good at what I do, but I wanted to become great at what I do. There's a saying that says this: good, better, and best. Don't rest until your good is better and your better is best. I was good at what I wanted to do, but I wanted to become the best. So what I did, I said, they said that, you'll be surrounded by all the best talent and stuff. We'll show you guys how to do X, Y, Z and stuff. And I wasn't really polished yet. So I went back home and I talked to one of my mentors. I said, what do I do? They're like, well, if one school offered you $1.5 million, what would the state of Florida offer you? Right. So I said, okay. So I went back to, after a whole bunch of conversation, and this was a really long walk. I went back to the principal. Her name was Principal Robinson. I put the paperwork on the table. I said, Principal Robinson, I said, I'm going to table this for right now. She said, what? I said, yeah, I said, I'm going to table it right now. So I tabled $1.5 million. This is a true story. I tabled it because I said, I'm going to take this opportunity to travel around. That was the best opportunity that I had because I was 27 around the time. I had 4 years of traveling with high-level people that taught me the art of the business, how to do things, how not to do things. And then people say, how do you get so good in front of camera? I had coaches that helped me engage with the camera, helped me work with the camera, helped me work with the audience. I went from good to the best at what I did. It got down to a point where we were flying around. We did a 7-city tour, and they were actually trying to launch a certain product. And they said, we need you to speak at one of the arenas. I'm like, okay. Arena. They're probably going to put a couple people in there. Y'all, and I have the video actually right here. 20,000 people in the arena. They said, we need you to open it. So I said, okay. So I walked out, and before I walked out, I was watching Netflix. And while I was watching Netflix, I watched Kevin Hart's, I can't think of the special, but at the end of his show, what he did was he said, all right, so-and-so makes some noise, and he puts it around. He told everybody to put their flashlights up, right?
Yes.
Everybody puts their flashlights up. Everybody's going crazy. Now that's why I said in the beginning earlier today, I said, speak what you want, right? I said, while I was watching that Netflix series, I said, one day I'm going to do that.
Yes.
One day I'm going to have a stadium full of people. I'm going to tell them to put their flashlights up, and I'm going to make it happen, right? So I get the opportunity to speak at this arena, but I didn't understand the magnitude of what was getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
So I get there and I'm walking through the back, and they got me all hooked up and wired up. And all of a sudden this guy says, Caleb Wesco? I turn around, and I don't know if you guys remember. You guys remember the Verizon guy that says, can you hear me now? Good.
Oh,
His name
yeah,
was Paul.
of course.
He calls me. He said, hey, I've been seeing you on social media, man. He said, I love your stuff. We should do a commercial together. I'm like, yeah, I've seen you on TV. So all of a sudden, while him and I were interacting, they kind of tug on me and said, okay, we're ready for you. So I'm walking in the back and stuff in this arena. Like I said, I'm not expecting a lot of people. All of a sudden, as I'm getting closer to the stage, it's getting louder and louder. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? They have a black curtain there. They said, are you ready? I said, yeah. They opened it. I step out, 20,000 people in the arena. And they have people also on live. So it was probably more, but 20,000 people in the arena.
Way more. It probably looked way more than it even
Correct.
could possibly. What you imagined it to be, it was probably 10 times.
It was massive, man.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I get out there, but then this is the thing. This is the thing that I had perfected speaking when no one was watching. So when everyone was watching, I made it look easy.
Right.
I walked in there and I
That's
was like,
how we-
hey man, this is what I do.
This is what I
So
do.
I was
Yeah.
speaking, I was doing my thing, and all of a sudden, but then I was getting ready to come off the stage, but I was like, that Netflix thing. I said, everybody put your cell phones up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody puts their cell phones up. I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We want to make sure that this is the best post ever. And then this happened. 20,000 people going crazy. Flashlights up in the air, right? You
Right.
see any of my posts, I do that everywhere I go. So
Mm-hmm.
that opportunity happened. And then when I walked away from it, I got to go to different areas and stuff. And then the tour ended. This was a 7-city tour. We went to, it was Kansas City, so it was the T-Mobile Arena where that happened.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Washington, D.C. We went to Atlanta. We went to Denver, New York, and California.
Who were the speakers?
So I was the head speaker, the keynote that came before, then the CEO, then it was the chief of technology, chief of marketing, but it was all the people inside. So there wasn't a
Understood.
keynote that was
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So guess what? So at the end of that, now mind you, I was still in the corporate mentality. They said, thank you so much. We're going to send you a bonus check. I was like, all right, man, bonus check for flying all the way around 7 cities. I've been home, away from home for about 3 months. Guess how much his bonus check was?
$1,000.
Exactly $1,000.
I know.
Right? $1,000. A guy that turned an arena upside down.
Yeah.
A guy that went and when we went to, these other places, and now I'm grateful for the opportunity because I learned a lot. But on that day, I had a pivot. I said, if I can do that for them, what could I do for me? That day it changed. Just so happened, I traveled for work, but then the pandemic happened. Now realize what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I traveled for work, but then the pandemic happened. So when the pandemic happened, what can't you do?
Pretty much anything.
You can't do anything, and you can't
do anything.
travel.
Yeah, you can't travel, right?
Right? So with that being said, T-Mobile was actually getting ready to merge with them. So my position no longer existed because it didn't exist with T-Mobile.
Right.
So they gave me an email. They said, well, you can do one of two things. You can either work at a local store or we'll give you a severance package and thank you for your service, right?
Uh-huh.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Life will test you. Life will actually ask you, are you ready to do what you said you were going to do?
Yep.
Life will actually give you the
Very
opportunity.
important lesson.
Yes, sir. It'll
It's
say,
eerie how it's the same in so many ways.
so it's like, are you ready to do it, right? Are you ready to become the founder of your success, the founder of the life? A lot of people
your
are
life.
looking over, they say, oh, somebody else will help me. No, the magic that you're looking for is located in the work that you're avoiding. The magic that you're looking for is located in the work that you're avoiding. I was avoiding stepping out because I thought that, oh, I'm going to get it here. It's like, no, because they're only going to pay me a certain amount. I can only impact people in a certain way. So what I did is that I responded to that email. I said, I'm going to take the severance package.
Yes. You became the founder of your life. You became the founder of your existence, and your ambitions exceeded your fear.
Correct.
Because the fear was definitely there.
And the one thing I had to have faith in myself, faith in my craft. And there's an acronym for faith, F-A-I-T-H. It says, fear ain't in this house.
Yes.
There's no fear that's here. Now, there may be a little bit worry, right? But worry is like a rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere, right? So you have to get to a point where be concerned about where the next thing is going to come from, but be so confident in your craft, confident in your product, confident in the things that you're doing, knowing that somehow, some way it's going to work out for me. You may look around and like, oh my goodness, I don't understand it. You may have dark days, but there's a saying that says this: the dark days came to make you strong. Or maybe, just maybe, you were already strong, but your dark days made you prove it.
Mm-hmm.
COVID happening was my prove it ground. It's like, all right, prove it. If you want to go out there and do it, go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's fast forward to today and sitting in front of Mr. Paul Masters.
Yes.
I can't say that it's all been a roll perfect, right? I can't say that, oh, you know what? I just went up from there. No, there's been some hills and there's been some valleys.
Oh, yeah.
But all I can say is that, and I do this with each one of my talks, the end of my talk, so you're just going to get the end of my talk right now. All I tell people is this. I say, this is a moment. Not only is it a moment for me, but this is a moment for each one of you listening.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, as we're talking, this is a moment for all of us right now. But with each moment, the moment, it always brings company, and that company is fear. But your want, it has to be greater than your fear. Your desire, it has to be greater than your fear. I was writing notes while you were talking. You said you didn't quit. There's a poem that says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road that you're on seems all uphill, When the funds are low and the debts are high, you want to smile, but you have to sigh.
Mm-hmm.
When life is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Because when you look around, it may not look like what it will be, but you want to keep it in mind that you're under temporary construction for permanent improvement. Life, it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you to bring the best out of you. And yes, just like me, I've hit some rock bottom moments. We will hit rock bottom moments in life. Everybody will hit rock bottom moments, but understand the philosophy of your rock bottom moment, that a ball that doesn't hit the bottom, it can't bounce back.
Right.
And that's my story.
That's incredible. I just want to clap like I'm in the arena, you know? Yeah. No, it's a great story. The lessons, I mean, we could probably spend, and we will spend a couple of hours on our next meetup, our next off the cuff conversation, just dissecting. We all should join the next one to dissect.
Make sure y'all
the lessons
comment,
in
subscribe.
this. Couple of points that I want to point out for everybody that are really, I synced with you on a lot of points that are relevant for me, and it was almost in parallel that it will happen to you. The first thing is your belief in yourself as a founder will be directly challenged in a way that seems so difficult at the time that you could not imagine your life past that point. That's the level you will hit. Because when he said, no, I'm taking the severance, when he stepped out of that reality with that one choice, from that day, no matter what, he was a different person. Yeah. Am I on the right track?
I mean, the one thing is that in situations like that, you're going to be a different person regardless.
Yeah.
You're going to be a different person if you decide not to go forward.
Sure.
Because it's the pain of regret.
Yes.
I didn't do what I set out to do. Or
yes.
You're going to be a different person that if you step out, you're like, look, this is new.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm scared and something, but I'm going forward. But
yes.
Do something scary so you give other people the courage to be, to
yes.
go on to be on to that next
yes.
level.
I agree. You change based on the choices you make. And by not making a choice, or by making the choice that doesn't necessarily serve you, you will change.
Yes.
Not always for the better, but still, it will be a learning lesson, and you will have to do it another way. But eventually, you'll come face to face with your biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that biggest fear is, how do I become my own manifester of not just revenue, but my existence? How do I
Yes.
manifest my existence in a way that sustains me and the people around me? And what you noticed in the story as he was telling it, Caleb gave so much. And he gave to get. So when in doubt, give. Because when you give, the energy is to receive. So you're giving, you're going to get. But if you're trying to get and take, and that's the place you're in, that negative energy is a drawing energy. So you'll end up losing, even though physically you're taking. So when in doubt, give. And you gave your time, you gave your effort, you gave everything to this, knowing you didn't know how much you were going to get. The money wasn't on the mind. You just did what you thought was right for you, and took an incredible and a scary as shit opportunity. But when you got the payout, you didn't really flinch. You realized that you were able to monetize your existence. You monetized your life. And that, I think, is the second point I want to bring up here is, number one, you'll be challenged to a point where you cannot see your reality past that point, and that is your pivotal moment. Two, recognize when your existence, has been monetized. If you can recognize that point, it could be a penny, it could be a, wow, you're really talented. It doesn't have to come in a monetary way. He received payment for something that he did by himself, for himself, with himself. His existence made that happen. He generated revenue. That $1,000 was not a paycheck. That was your first payment from a client.
You know what? I never thought of it that way, but I would always tell people, and I would tell people after that moment, I said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker one day. But I never thought of it that way until today. But technically, that was my first big check for an event.
That's
love
right.
that.
That's right.
My first
It was.
tour.
It was.
Yeah.
Because it's the optics that matter, and how you receive it is what's going to drive you forward. So as a paycheck, oh, I got screwed over, which you did, because you did way more than you. But as a client, holy crap, I got all of this experience and they paid me. What a great first client.
And that was my feeling at the time, because
Yes.
mind you, I still had the mindset of, oh, you get paid bi-weekly and stuff like that.
Yes.
But this is the thing, is that when I received that, I didn't laugh at it. I was grateful.
Yeah, of course.
But then also I was aware.
yes.
Now, the thing is that if somebody pays you, your rate a little bit below your rate, whatever that is,
Yeah.
be grateful for what you get, because it's better than zero.
Yes.
But also become aware of now where to go from here.
What's the next step? Exactly. And being that was your first check, what happens then is life will say, okay, do you recognize the opportunity, or are we going back to the drawing board? And when you were presented with the opportunity to choose your destiny, you chose to go down the path because of your own path rather than the corporate path you were on, regardless, because they were always going to have a place for you, right? But you took your path. And I think that recognizing that pivotal moment when life puts a fork in the road, there's going to be a few of those in your journey, some of them more important than others, but the awareness of them, the $1.5 million check for the school, or the traveling. In hindsight, thinking back, 1.5 million to work with could have taken you down a path, could have been a better path financially, but instead you chose delayed gratification and you went for the experience because you knew that was going to get you closer, not to the money, because the money comes later. It's to the skill set, to proving to yourself. So I think that's a really important third point to mention, is become aware of the opportunities life presents to you as you become pivotal, as you become a founder, as you start to fall into that reality, right? I mean, I'm being a little esoteric, but if your reality doesn't change and you don't walk, talk, think, and believe you're the founder of your own life and your own destiny, and you can disconnect from, oh, I got to get a paycheck to survive, which is the conditioning that is so prevalent in today's society, and more so, I can generate revenue through my skills, and if I don't have the skills, I need to develop them. That's how we should be thinking about it. Everything should be for us in the pursuit of generating revenue, not making a paycheck. And when you switch gears into that, you can realize and think of your skills now as assets.
Correct.
Rather than your skills being wasted or utilized for less than you're worth.
And if you don't mind, I want you to look up something on Google real quick. Look up genius definition.
Oh,
so it's gonna just genius and then definition.
Genius definition.
Right.
I mean, thanks. No, just well, la-di-da.
But genius definition.
Yes.
And
so
tell me what the first one says.
The first one says exceptional intellectual or creative power or other natural ability.
Now that right there, I have a whole presentation on this, but from something that you said is that you have to understand that your skill can be turned into your asset.
Yes.
But what I'm going to say to build on that is this: your skill can unlock your genius. Now let's look at this definition, because it says exceptional intellectual or creative power or other natural ability.
Sure.
So a genius isn't the smartest person in the room. We would say, okay, what's a genius? The first person that you're going to think about is Albert Einstein.
Well, it's literally his picture.
Right. His picture
next
comes
to
up,
the word.
Right?
So yeah.
So you think, oh, I got to be the smartest person. No, let's look at the definition. Now it says and creative power and natural ability, or does it say another word?
It's exceptional intellectual or creative power or other natural ability. So it's core.
So when I see that, Geniuses fall in 3 different categories. So let's take the first category, exceptional intellectual. I am not the smartest person in the room. I will let people know I'm smart, but I remember in math class one time, I raised my hand. They said, what's 1 plus 1? I raised my hand and they picked on me. I said, I saw 2 ones next to each other. So I said, 11. I remember it. Everybody laughed at me and the teacher's like, you know what? That's close, but that's not it. From that day forward, I haven't really been good with math, right? So exceptional intellectual, that's not me. So I can cross that part off. But there's a different category that I fall in.
Yes.
Or it says, or creative power. Sometimes I'm creative and sometimes I'm not. My
Yes.
creativity is kind of like the FPL bill. If you forget to pay it, the lights go off.
That's good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So creative power, for those that may be suffering I'm not creative and stuff, you still got another category. It says exceptional intellectual or creative power, or what's that last one?
Other natural ability.
Everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has something that they're naturally good at. For me, it's talking. As you can see, I can talk, right?
Fair point.
So it's talking. There may be somebody else with finance. There may be somebody else with singing. There may be somebody, whatever that thing is. My thing is, you finding your natural ability doesn't make you a genius. You sharpening your natural ability. That's what makes you a genius. Find your natural ability. Find your skill. Move it over into your asset. Sharpen that thing, and you'll become dominant in the field. You don't want to be competitive. Competitive means I run with the pack. Dominant means I lead the pack.
Right. Yeah, that's really good. The one more building piece that I want to put on top of that, because people are going, well, how, right? And we got to be the how guys, right? What to do is important. How to do it, even better. And I think how that's done is to try everything you possibly can. Like, you need to be trying things. And the reason I say that, because it seems so obvious, but we're creatures of habit, right? And because we're creatures of habit, we run most of our day on autopilot. And we need to become aware that we do that, because if we don't, then how can we try the things? The reason why the natural ability piece may be harder for some people is because they're not actually aware that they're doing the same thing over and over again. And you know the definition of insanity, blah, blah, blah. It's been, beat up. But that's really what it is waking up every morning and saying, what can I do today that's different?
Say that again, because that's a whole clip in itself. So say it again.
What? Waking up in the morning?
No, what can I?
Oh, what can I do when I wake up in the morning? What can I do today that's different?
What can you do? Not later, but today.
Today, that's different. Definitely. Because that is the question that will guide you down the path of unlocking your natural ability. If you think about the difference, what is that? The difference is you today minus you yesterday. That's the difference, right? Right? So what's left? If you're the same yesterday as you were today, it's 0. So you gotta have the difference. And the difference gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more you ask yourself, how am I different? How can I make today different? So don't be a 0.
Hey, don't
Don't settle for 0.
In the book, it says the atomic habits.
Atomic habits,
right?
yes.
It says that, day by day, just get 1% better.
Yes.
Right? So don't try to do, I'm going to do everything tomorrow. No,
yes.
What one thing can you do today that was different from yours yesterday?
Yes.
And then build upon that in 2 days and 3 days. And then they just do simple math. It's like, look, if you continue that habit from 1 to 100, you'll be 100% better in 100 days.
100%. 100%. Really important point there too, 100 days. It might take you 2 years to be different every day in some way, to try that before you land on it, which I think it's so important to realize this. It just came to me. Being an entrepreneur and a founder isn't a thing you do, it's who you are.
Come on.
And the only way that you're going to unlock this difference is if you commit your life to it. You have to be okay with it being the thing you do for the rest of your life. Because if it's just something that you're going to do today because you need some money, it ain't going to work. And if it's got to be a thing you do because you hate your job, it's not going to work. it's not something that's going to save you. It's something that's going to change you. And so if you're going to be changed, it has to be the pursuit of permanent change. And I think that's one of the big things about asking for the difference is if it's a lifelong path, then it doesn't matter how long it takes because you're never going to quit. So as long as you continue that pursuit, that is really the first step. And even still now, today, I ask myself that question. Because even when you're in it and doing it, there's still tons of ups and downs. It never ends. But it's a life worth living, let me tell you, because it helps you impact and shape your destiny in a way that I don't think you can fathom in any other way except pursuing this.
Let me tell you that we giving y'all the sauce, but we can't give y'all too much sauce. So y'all gonna have to tune in next time.
Next time, for sure.
Y'all gonna
for
have
sure.
to tune in next time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
first up, shout out to Rush Bowl.
Shout out to Rush Bowl.
Shout out
And
to
of
Rush
course,
Bowl.
Salento.
Mhm.
Incredible coffee. Get the latte.
But guys, first off, Paul, I appreciate the time.
Yes. Same
that
here.
we sat down. I think that this is going to develop into a great friendship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go beyond friendship, a great brotherhood. Because, bro, your heart is amazing. What you do for others and stuff is huge and stuff. And I'm saying this, and usually a lot of men can't do this, and a lot of people can't do this. But yo, whatever you need, if you need just a little phone call, if you need just hey man, I'm going through some ideas and stuff, just a bouncing board, I got your back, man. Like real talk.
I appreciate that more than you know.
And you and keep going, man, because at the end of the day, both of us are on the same road of impacting people.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that says one could go fast, but two can go far and stuff. So you already surround yourself with a team. You got somebody else that's, one call away to support you, man. But
absolutely. I love it.
All right,
Thanks,
man, almost cried.
I mean, you make me tear up and stuff. No, ditto. Same thing. Yeah. More than a brotherhood. If there's anything more than a brotherhood, I think, yeah, we're definitely there. And the path is paved for us. Now that I've met you, I can see it unlocks greater things for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I gauge what is unlocked for me based on the people I meet, and that's how I determine who I want in my life. And that's a whole different conversation because you have to protect yourself when you're going down these different paths. Is evaluate the people in your life and see how do you envision your life with the person in it.
Yeah.
And if it's not really freaking good, don't do it because it's a lot of energy. So I feel that with you, brother. Thanks, Caleb.
I was gonna say, hey, y'all tune in next time and stuff, and then we'll drop some more sauce on you. But go back, review your notes, rewind these, share it with a friend, like, comment, and subscribe.
Episode 1, Off the Cuff podcast with my dear friend Caleb Wesco, an incredible guy, and his socials will be listed at the bottom as well. Make sure you follow and subscribe and check out the journey.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.